Welcome to Season 8 of Paper Talk,
where we will explore how to build a creative community that fuels your art and your business.
Hi, I'm Quinn Nguyen of Pink & Posy.
I'm Jessie Chu of Crafted to Bloom.
And I'm Sarah Kim of Handmade by Sarah Kim.
This season is all about connections.
We'll share stories, strategies, and collaborations that strengthen your own community.
Tune in every other Thursday for new episodes.
Thanks for joining us today, and be sure to follow Paper Talk Podcast. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of Paper Talk. We're doing a series where we're revisiting some of the previous artists that we've interviewed before on our episode. And this particular artist has been our episode also twice, just like Margie. And she's been our episode on episode 81 and also on 135, focusing on how to manage your time. And also, one thing, if you guys haven't been on Pinterest and leveraging Pinterest, you definitely need to listen to episode 135. We kind of deep dive a little bit more on what Pinterest is and how you should be using it. It's pretty much a social media platform about images, and it's a great way to bring in sales or to get eyes on your website, on your art. So take a look at it. And so we're really excited to re-welcome Poi, who is Summer Space Studio. And she's been taking a break, and now she's kind of rearing back in. And it's been so fun to hear about her projects that she's working on with some big brands and also exploring some other platforms too. So Poi, welcome back.
Hi.
Welcome, Poi.
The additional person right here.
Yay! Who is this little cutie pie?
Her name is Praia.
Hi, Praia.
Praia. Yeah, it means beach, but spelled in like Southern Italian and Portuguese. It's Praia. Yeah, it's our favorite beach that we went in the Amalfi Coast. So that's her name.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to have to teach her Italian on top of Thai and Spanish and English.
And Italian and Portuguese and Korean and Japanese and all those
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kids today are so lucky. Oh my goodness. So Poi, well, welcome to motherhood. And I think that's been an amazing journey for you. I see you doing so much. It's kind of ridiculous how much you have on your plate, because not only did you have a baby 10 months ago, you also moved to a new house. Did you move to a different state or just a different location too?
We moved upstate, like Hudson Valley. So like an hour and a half from New York City. Totally different life.
Yeah. So how have you been able to balance it? I feel like you're a superwoman.
I haven't. I don't know. It's mostly what they say, like one day at a time. And, some days it's harder than another. And, it's just have to figure it out. I don't think that I have it all figured out. And most of the time it's just, having a good friends or family and people to talk to. So I think that has been, the biggest part to keep me sane, obviously. And, just trying to look for something good in a day and kind of like go with it. And if today she sleeps through the night, that's a win for me. So I think that, it's kind of changed a lot from like, what I've been doing before. But yeah.
Sure. I know. Now your time's not your own. It's this little cutie pie. It's her time, right? Yeah. You got to work around that.
Yeah, but also,
their boss.
Yeah, but in a way, like I know Jessie and Sarah, that's like, even though like your time is not yours, but also this kind of like help prioritize stuff a lot as well. Like I think like I just had a realization not too long ago that's like what I have been doing before the baby. Like, what did I do with my time? And now that, like, okay, maybe I had a pocket of time when she was sleeping. I was able to do laundry, cook, and do the work. And, my productivity has been up because I know that I have this time to finish one thing. So I don't know, like it's probably like for everyone, but it's just like, like, okay, like focus, like let's get this done. Before this, I was just like,
you're way more efficient.
Yeah. And, like learning to be in like a relationship, like with yourself, with your husband, because like we're stepping into this new role as a parent and it was tough, like, on both of us, but, we're learning. And just as long as you recognize that you're a team, I think at the end of the day, it's gonna turn out okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
I feel like definitely I was way more efficient with my time once I became a mom than before. I'm like, I had all my 20s to figure out my business and I never really did anything. And then I became like superwoman, like doing everything all at once.
Right.
But like, it is true. You, like you said, like during your nap time, like you are on it. You lock in so quick, you know, compared to when you were in your 20s. I was like, what did I do all day? Because I had all the time.
Yeah.
It's definitely perspective. Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of now, like, I see now that I became a mother, I understand now that I question you, Sarah. I'm like, how does Sarah do all these things? Like, you know, launch a mail club and like she had YouTube and she had all these things. And I'm like, now I get it. Like, you just don't think about it too much. You just like, just go for it and do it. And then, you know, like, and then you just don't really stress about it too much. And I realized that too. Like, you know, I kept planning. I kept like, oh, I want to waiting for the perfect moment. And like, no, there's no waiting for the perfect time. We just have to like, you know, do it.
Yeah.
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 Totally.
That's
Yeah. I feel like, I think it is because we finally value time. So even before, you know, like I had all the time with my husband, right? But now we never have time, just the two of us.
Yeah.
So then we make it like most meaningful and it feels like the best during, you know, now, you know, whereas we dated, you know, years before we had a kid. I don't know what we did. We were probably on the phone, you know, separately, whatever, right? But now we value it so much. So when we finally get to, you know, sit down, just the two of us, we talk a lot and we actually are more intentional, I guess, when it comes to that time spending. I know it's so true.
Yeah.
The first year is always so hard, but it's weird because you become superwoman or something when you become mom. I don't know what it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So with the transition of being a mom, and because we see you back on social media, teaching workshops, doing all the things, when did you decide it was the right time to be able to like refocus back on, come back?
Yeah. So ever since when I knew that I was pregnant, so like, and that's also kind of aligned with what, like, you know, figure out the next steps. I was like, oh, okay. So I can't really teach as much and I didn't have energy. And I would say that my pregnancy was okay. I just had like a really bad eczema flaring up. So I was like, you know, very self-conscious about how I looked. Right now, it's kind of healing, but like, you know, I have eczema all over my body and like, you know, down to like my legs and all those stuff. So I was like, I don't want to have people seeing me like this. So that's also resulting me not showing my face or like, you know, anything online for a while. Cause like, you know, I just don't like how I look. So yeah, with that, like I think I also, when I was invited to showcase at this art exhibition in Brooklyn called the Art Fair. And then they wanted me to like create. So that's kind of like helped me shape like, okay, so how am I going to do this? Like the opportunity is here. And I think I was 35 weeks pregnant. So it was like, you know, a lot. But then I was like, okay, I have been giving this opportunity to have the workshop and also the exhibition, but I'm also pregnant. So like, you know, how do I make this work? Then that means I'm like, have to step up really fast to, okay, I have to hire people to do the workshop and I focus on one thing. And so that's kind of like the start of like, okay, I should train people to at least teach some of my workshop and then make sure that the brand is still there. This is my structure. This is how I do the workshop. So I have like 2 people that has been kind of helped me in the past. And I'm like, okay, I need to train you within this next week to host this workshop for me so I can focus on the exhibition because I really have to take this opportunity because like I can't say no to this. So that's the kind of the start to have 2 people handing out the workshop, handling the workshop. So I'm like, okay, now I feel great that I can like, you know, I'm handing off the workshop part to these people. And then that's kind of like the start of now I feel so much better that like we moved up to the Hudson Valley and then I still host workshops in the city and have people teach for me. But like I take care of the client, I prepare all the materials and I basically like bash sending them the stuff and then have them set up and everything. So right now what I do is I only take corporate workshops and also like, you know, brand partnerships because that's like, you know, one and done type thing that I know what I offer, not like public workshop. I'm still kind of figure that part out because like, you know, the ticket part is like, you know, require some marketing, things like that. So like right now, like the focus is the corporate workshop. Yeah. And yes, I have people teaching for me.
Wow. Nice. How are you going about reaching out to the corporate? Because I know a lot of our audience, they're always like, how do I reach out to companies to say, I want to do a workshop with them? What's your process for that?
Yeah. So this is like a mix thing where I got my clients. So there's two things. This goes back to the first episode, Pinterest. So when I was pregnant, I'm like, okay, I know that I'm going to have a baby and people were warning me about having no time. So I basically bash and schedule a lot of my Pinterest posts to cover the whole time that I'm like, I had the goal of like, at least I want 2 pins a day for the next year. So I did that for, I think, I don't remember like the period of time, but right now I'm covered until like the end of this year to have like at least like, post that. So some of that comes from Pinterest. Another one is obviously SEO, which is SEO goes with Pinterest as well. Mm-hmm. Another thing is just cold email pitching. And I honestly haven't been doing that since last year when we moved. And I'm like, I don't have energy and I just can't. I don't have the capacity to do that. But yeah, to your question, a lot of word of mouth and, the old client that reached out to me, thing didn't work. I have all their contact and kind of re-emailing them every quarter that like, hey, I teach, I think I taught a class for Netflix last year. Again, when I was pregnant, I didn't tell them. And then I kept emailing them every quarter. I'm like, hey, fall is coming. And, I know that we worked in the past before. If you're interested to work with me again, this is like the list of my flowers if you want to do it. And we can change up the theme a little bit, things like that. So, following up and, we talked about this before, that the amount of time that you follow up, I think like 7 times that people actually said yes for the email follow up. I don't know if I have this conversation with you, but, like it feels weird to kind of like say, hey, I'm here again. Like, hi, I'm Poi. I'm pitching this again. But just keep doing that, and this goes to, again, the client or the partnership that I'm working right now with Airmace. I actually been emailing them for like 3 years until I land this
Good
one.
For you.
Yeah. They contacted me first. I think like, one of the team know my stuff from Instagram. So I kept keep the relationship going because I know I really want to work with them. I love their window display. That's why I know that, there's like a lot of brands that I want to keep reaching out, keep following up every quarters, even like a few months. I'm like, hey, like, I know we talked about this before, like, would you be interested to work together, blah, blah, blah. Again, like a few months after following up. And then, I finally get to do that with them and, they find a time and I know that I really want to work with them. Not just the rotation of the brand, but I also know that they really into like craftsmanship. They, the story kind of aligned with what we do. Like, the attention to detail. I love the window display. So, like it's not just about the brand itself, but like, I want to like kind of align with the storytelling. So with that, I think like, following up, it's like the biggest part to not just getting clients, but also like get you comfortable with like, talking about your offer. It's like, so I think like 3 avenues for me, like Pinterest and pitching and also just word of mouth.
I love that you pitch because I think it's one of the most difficult things for anyone to do.
Yeah.
I mean, especially, when we're not used to putting ourselves out there. Do you, I know there are many people do it differently, but do you like accumulate a list or do you have a running list where if you come across a brand that you're like, oh, that, that seems to be on brand with mine and we have aligned values, I'll add that to the list. And then do you decide, okay, on a quarterly basis, I'm going to reach out to X amount of people. Like, what is your process in terms of pitching?
Really good question, because before this, I would have a system like that. Like, okay, in a month, I want to hit 50 people, like, across all the industry and companies. But today, these days, I would say whenever I have time, it's not like a big priority, but I try to. But also it goes back to now that I'm figuring out like the capacity of how much I can do it. So I honestly haven't been pitching as much. I've been basically reached out to like my old clients, the people that I used to work with and see, because, it's so much easier process. They already kind of know what I do. So it's like less like one step
it's
less.
It's an easier yes for them. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
But, I think for the summer, like I have like a really vague goal to like, okay, if I need to figure out the workshop, like my capacity of how many can do and like kind of narrow down the offerings and then I can reach out to them again. Because like now she's like, my daughter is a little more manageable. Like, she sleeps through the night and like she can occupy herself. I throw her a book and like we just like kind of, sitting next to her and that's kind of help. So I kind of like, seeing that flow that I see myself going back to that goal again of like, okay, this week I'm going to pitch maybe 5 to 10 people and see where it takes me. But I do have a list for sure.
Yeah.
Do you prefer to do a corporate workshop versus a corporate installation? Like which one do you, because I know Hermes, you're trying to do both, right? Or at least you're starting with a workshop and maybe there will be an installation opportunity. But like, do you have a preference of which one you would rather do?
Yeah, that's a great question because that's still something that I've been asking myself every day. Yeah. Sometimes I just want to hide in my cave and like, I don't want to talk to people. But then when I do teach, I'm like, wait, like this is so fun. Like I get to talk to people. So it's like I go back and forth. So I don't really have a straight answer which one I prefer. It's just that whenever, the opportunity comes to me, like, I often ask myself like, okay, like how does that look like for me the next month? Like, do I have the capacity to do it? But, I don't mind both. I still enjoy doing both, but in the container or like the, like my ability that I can do it.
Yeah. Actually, for me, I think the busiest I did workshops was actually the first year of being a mom because that was the only time I could go out. It was like, my husband works throughout the weekdays. So then when I could book a workshop during the weekends, that was when I get to have an excuse to go out and be able to make money. And I want to say that year, probably majority of my income technically came from workshops. Less installation. And I know that you can make stuff while you're watching your baby, but it's a little trickier, and you're tired and you have all these other chores to do around the house. So I think I did prefer to do a workshop. So I would say maybe, this is a good thing for you to concentrate on workshops this year. But it will look different probably every year.
That's definitely good to know because I did thought about like maybe I bring back online classes. Like, I think that's one thing I haven't updated you. Like, I cancel or like disabled all my online classes from previously. I hosted online classes like, the on-demand one. And I was like, because I do have the option of people to add the workshop kit. And then I basically didn't have time to even pack the kits.
Yeah.
And then like I feel
those
like
are hard.
Yeah. And then the structure of the workshops changed so much. And now like, see the different client there, like I feel like a lot of clients that came to me, this is something that I have to figure out as well. So like, bear with me with like my thought process. There's like two different groups of people. One is the one who's like want to learn everything. Like how do you cut the paper? How do you dye them? How do you like make it to shape? And then another group would be like, how do I make this quickly? How do I make 1 hour? So right now I have a lot of clients who's like in this area where like, can I make poppy in 1 hour? Like, or we only have 30 minutes. Can I have like 30 people doing this? So basically, I would have to like, get the whole prep, like, the ball thing, the fringes, and then, putting that on site within half an hour, which is fun. Like, because like a lot of people that I don't have that much time to make a poppy in 2 hours and I don't want to go dye the paper or whatever, right? Which this is something that I'm like waiting to see where at with this. Like, do I want to do another online workshop, an intensive one? Like, I know that I can't do like Jessie, like, the whole detail ones. Like, I don't know if I have time. I want to get there. And, with you, Sarah, like you have like all this YouTube. And then I've been looking at your book, Quinn, on like, like your tutorials and stuff. Like, I want to see where I'm at with that. So does that answer your question? I'm not sure. But like, I think like with the workshop, this is something that I have in my head that like, even though I want to focus on the workshop, I need to also figure out which kind of people that I'm talking to. Like, do I serve the people that I'm serving right now? Or do I actually come from where I'm at? Like, what I really want to teach. So this is a topic that can lead to Substack as well. So I'm going to like, link that until we talked about that later.
Yeah. So can I go back to your when you pitch? Because I'm curious. I mean, the whole point of pitching is to let people know this is what I do. Do you approach them as, okay, this is what I do and XYZ, like this is my process? Or do you literally just say, hey, are you interested? Because I teach. Because, I mean, we always talk about like how much back and forth do we really want? I mean, on the one hand, we need to educate people about what we do. I mean, we have to give them expectations ahead of time. On the other hand, it's like, how much time do you want to invest in educating someone who might say no to us? So what is your approach when you pitch? Like how concise, how detailed are your contact, your emails, your calls or whatnot when you're introducing yourself to like essentially cold pitch, introducing yourself to a company company that has no idea what you do and maybe doesn't even understand art.
Yeah.
And also, can I add on to that question? It's like, and I feel like you're also approaching companies that you've approached many, many different times. How do you follow up with that when they kind of like, oh, we're not ready for you right now? How do you approach them on the next quarter?
Right. That's a really good question. And that goes back to my advertising, work in the advertising agency and like, some marketing back in the days. It's always kind of, you have to, yes, you know what you offer, but you also need to know your client. Like, let's say I'm pitching to, like, top of my head right now, Netflix, right? Like if I'm pitching them at fall and I know that they have a list of like some of the shows coming up. And then I'm like, can we talk about like kind of know what they're at in their business? And fall is coming and winter is coming. I know that you're coming out with like, these shows. Like, could we work together too? And then maybe we can promote like, because when I make paper flowers, I put these shows on and this is my favorite. So kind of like, tied their product or like, what's coming in the season with your product and, use that as a, what's it called? Like, I forgot like the word in PR that like, the bullet points that tie your business to like what they offer. And, and sometimes not Netflix, like, maybe something in like a theme or the season. That's like a very baseline, right? Like, oh, summer is coming. Like, do you want like, I make paper flowers. I have like 1, 2, 3 flowers and I can customize to these color palettes that like works with your brand. Or it could be something like, I don't know, can't think of the top of my head. And then with your question of like following up and, the most common thing that I do is the season, but also at the same time, like, if I see something pops up like, oh, they're coming up with a product, like let's say a drink company, like they come up with this new flavor. And I'm like, oh, like I think this like kind of pair well with this flower because of the color. And then I think while you make the flowers and you don't want to feel refreshed, like, we have this drink next to it or something like that. So kind of tie your story with like what the brand offers. I think that's kind of what I think in my head. Yeah. But if you're talking about like, in terms of like a big corporate, like, basically just throw like wellness and, I know that at the end of the year, it's a big season for, I don't know, accounting or like taxes company or whatever, right? Like, like maybe I can help your employee wind down. Like I work with these companies and, maybe it's something that you'd be interested in. And a lot of times, like, there's like, oh, we have a lot of men, so we're not interested. I'm like, well, let me tell you that actually in the past, I worked with a lot of men and they are actually the one who's like most invested. So, kind of casually throwing that there. And if it's a no, then it's a no. Like, okay, thank you for your time. And maybe I'll reach out again if there's, a new flower or a season or something like that. Yeah.
And I have to say the opportunities are endless when it comes to corporate events because actually I've done it for like a property managing company. It has nothing to do with paper flowers. But I mean, I love that you said with Netflix and different themes that could totally tie in with paper flowers. Yes.
Bridgerton.
But yes, Bridgerton. But also there's so many companies out there that just wants to do something for fun. Yes.
Exactly.
So totally good.
Yeah, to your point, Sarah, like I do have a lot of like real estate buildings because we know that they have, people living in the buildings and they always want to create events for them. So like look into like a different avenues of like, when do you see people gathering, right? And like, what do you offer? Like, I know that, for our thing is it has to be indoor. So like, what are the places that are indoors? Bars, restaurants, and, residential buildings. So
I was going to say nursing homes and I mean, there's so many team building. There's so many team building opportunities. Like, I mean, they call them that. Essentially, it's just people who work together. They sit down and actually do something together.
Right.
Yeah. There is a lot of
like
those.
That's the thing I can throw it out there that I haven't done personally for myself. That people has been telling me to like basically stalk people on LinkedIn and like look for HR manager and just cold email them. I've been meaning to do that. I haven't done that. So, but if you have the capacity to do that, do it.
Yes. I'm glad you brought in LinkedIn because that is, if you're looking to go into corporate real estate, you need to be on LinkedIn and updating your profile because it's such a great way for connection because they'll tell you who's your first tier, second tier, and you can talk to your friends like, hey, can you connect me with one of your LinkedIn people? It's a great way for people to do it, especially a lot of tech like Microsoft, Google, Apple, they have budget for team building. And you can do a lot of great things and it's a great paying gig, to be honest. In the spring, summer, fall, winter, they do. So focus on your LinkedIn, focus on Pinterest. And then let's talk about Substack. Why do you want to move into Substack? I know Substack for you is a little bit different. You don't really promote Paper Flower as much because when I started following you, you're focusing on journaling and traveling because you're just an amazing artist. I love how you illustrate, how you paint. It just pulls into your Paper Flower so well. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, thanks for that question. It's also tied with motherhood as well. Like, I think a lot of people who's just had a baby, they probably like, Sarah and Jessie, looking back for like 10 years ago for you guys. I don't know. Like, I think it's also when you're in like that time of like, who am I? Like, why am I dedicating this time to this person? She's cute now, but 6 months ago, she's a frog. Like, she doesn't have, like, I kept telling myself, oh, she's a frog, but right now she's the cutest thing ever. It's so weird that like, you're losing yourself so much and kind of redefine who you are. Yeah. And that goes back to like, and we're living New York. Like, I was born and raised in Bangkok and I moved to New York. So like, big city, big opportunity. I can go out like, 100 meters and I get food. I get to meet people. And now we're like, I don't see anyone. Like, it's a lot of like, anxiety and like all the things built up. And, when you're up feeding the baby at 3 a.m, it's just you and like a dark room. So things can go south. But so with that, like, I had this like, feeling of like, you know what, like, I'm just going to push for like, I know that a lot of people have like, baby blue or sometimes like the depression postpartum. Like for me, I don't think that I like touched that, but there's a mild symptom that I had that like, anxiety hit me and I was like fearing for like, is a nuclear, it's going to come here today. Isn't there going to be an earthquake? If I'm like, I fear every time that like we took our baby out and about in the grocery stores and someone's going to like take her, anxiety was bad. But like to that, like, I feel like, every night that I journal, I kept repeating the same thing again. Like if I die tomorrow, like, what would I be regretting not doing? Because like I feel like things has been taken away from me, that I'm not in New York City anymore. Like I feel like like how do I get back to myself and kind of like do things that I would not regret not doing. So with that, like I feel like what, I'm just not gonna think about it too much. Like now that I have time or some time, I'm not gonna think about how many likes I get. I'm not gonna think about how perfect the photos are. I'm just gonna put what I want to tell people or share people about, or what I enjoy doing or sharing people. So that's why I started Substack, because like, I thought about YouTube, I thought about another Instagram, and I'm like, I do enjoy painting and it's not perfect, but I did it. Maybe it's a 5 minutes a day and I enjoy the content of other people doing like, no, I look at Sarah, I'm like, oh my gosh, she had her mail club. Like, this is so fun. And like, all these people, and you like, Quinn, you had the book, and Jessie, you have like a new, course coming out. It's just like so inspiring seeing the people doing their things. So like, I come back to me and be like, okay, so if these people can find time, like, we all have 24 hours. So I just have to do it and not thinking about like a perfect, angled, I'm a Virgo. So I always like, you talked to me before that I was like trying to wait for the perfect photos, angle, lighting, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, not anymore. So that's why I thought like, Substack for me is the outlet that the conversation that I have with my friends, like, Poi, like, where can I find the best journal? Or like, I have trouble keeping track, like, how do you illustrate? I'm like, dude, just do it. So like basically practice what I preach and just put it out there and not thinking about it too much. I don't care about how many subscribers I got. I don't care about how like, perfect the picture are. I just care about that, I consistently doing this in my time, and I feel okay enough that I hit publish and I write something today, and that's it. It's just for me. Yeah.
What is your Substack called, and what do you write about? I mean, you just said it's about you, but what exactly do you write about?
Yeah. So the channel is called Take Scenic Route at Substack.com, I think. Like it's Take Scenic Route. So basically the name Scenic Route is it's back to when my husband and I were dating. So a lot of time when we like, drive around, so he's originally from Long Island, New York. So, and he always said that like, oh, I know all these streets like, around me. And And a lot of times we're like, okay, let's go take the scenic route and, to this restaurant. And, we're not going to put GPS on. And sometimes we're like, okay, let's go let's go to this place. And he would ask me, would you like to take the scenic route, or you're very hungry that we want to get there really fast? So I'm like, let's take the scenic route. Yeah. And a lot of times, it's like, oh my God, we found a different joint and we running into his friends, or we found a new house that built, and I creeping on them. I'm like, is that a new celebrity who's having a new house in Bellport Village? So that's the backstory of how, and then that kind of a theme that my husband and I always have with us, that okay, a lot of time, let's just take the scenic route, because that's kind of contradict of New York City life, and everything has to be fast and efficient and all the time. And this is just kind of me being you know what, chill. Take a break.
You'll see where it goes. You'll see what you discover on the way. Yeah.
Exactly. And then just show up where you are. And I probably have one eyeliner on today, and that's just me today. And, basically that's the whole theme of the take the scenic route of just show up where you are and start the messy life that you are, and just not thinking about it too much, and, just enjoy everyday joy life in general. Yeah.
That's such a cute That's such a cute phrase. I love it.
Yeah, thank you so much. But yeah, and what I write about is two different channels that I just started. So one, the main channel is mostly just motherhood and kind of a theme, but also talking about travel journals, stationery, creative practices, and eventually, I wanted to have a stationery store, making stickers or basically things that you're doing, Sarah. Yeah. I'm so excited for you. That reminds me, I have to subscribe to your mailing. Yeah, to your mail club. Yeah.
It's so adorable. I love it.
Thank you. Yeah. So, I've always wanted to have a stationery brand, and that's kind of tied in with what, I don't have the design right now, but I can show my draft. I can show who am I as a person, but also it's kind of training myself to be consistent to myself, showing up to myself every day, And another one is, this is something that we probably talked about a long time ago, that for eventual book that I want to have, I want to focus on making tropical paper flowers. I did the projects before, you've seen me making orchids or bird of paradise, but I have all this documentation, never post it, never talk about it, never actually put my time into it. So I put that on the side, and that's a different channel that I'm you know what? I don't have the book deal right now. I don't have a publisher reach out to me, but Substack is a way that I can just do it and have a place for me to put all these thoughts out there. And if I don't have a book deal, fine. But at least I have this channel that I did it for myself. And I think I'll be happy if, I have the things to track back of what I did before. So yeah.
Do you treat it like your blog or your newsletter? Do you have a blog on your website? Sorry, I'm not sure. But I'm just wondering because, we all have Substack. I barely started. I have a name. I was maybe I should put my name out at least. But because I already have a blog and I already have a newsletter, my thing is I don't want to create more work for myself, right? So how do I maximize Substack as a social media or as a way to connect with people, integrate it into my business so that I'm not doing more work than I already am, and yet somehow it either is a companion to my business or it literally is integrating and bringing more people into my world. How does that work? What are your thoughts on that?
My thought is that I didn't think about it at all. I didn't have a label. I treated that as a blog. I treated that as a newsletter. I didn't think about that at all. I just wanted to be an outlet for me to put this topic out there. Because I know that this doesn't really live on Instagram, all this stuff on head. I was just I think it's kind of back in the day when we had MySpace.
Yeah.
So, and
Senga.
And kind of sharing the draft of the first chapter on when you're mumbling on your journal, you write about something for so long. And you're like, this is like basically a digital journal for me. So that's just for me. But I know a lot of people like monetizing it. And eventually I want to get there, but I haven't actually thought about that at all. So for me, if all goes well, like, if I can like launch like maybe a sticker sheet this year to see where it's at, like there's a place for it, because I don't want to like clash with Summer Space of like, Paper Flower, but also it's kind of peek behind the scenes of like, this is how creative people think. We have a lot of projects and I want a place for it. We all have so many notebooks for all these projects, and I treat the Substack like this is my digital notebook of all these projects that I have. And I just don't want to, at the end of the year, I'm like, oh, I should have done that. Oh, I should have done this. And also at the same time, it's kind of tied in with how I have her, my daughter, that, I started the journal for her before she was born, like tell her the story. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I want to be able to show her, like, when I was pregnant with you, I did all this, So like, I want to have something tangible to show her and like, have her like seeing all of this and like tell the story and all those things. I don't want to be like, hey, like, I thought about doing this. I'm like, no, it's not going to be a thought anymore. I want her like to see all the things that I've done. Yeah.
I just wanted to let you know that the snail mail, one of the first ones that I subscribed to, it was actually, I found them on Instagram, but it was linked, you paid through Substack. So just to let you know, I mean, Substack is a subscription, but you can also make it into a subscription where it is a physical product that you send out. So the company that I purchased the subscription from, they link it to their Substack, and I had to sign up through Substack to get their snail mail. So, I mean, I totally see you being able to make stickers and like things that you can use for your journal, because that's kind of the concept behind it. A lot of the things is to do a little bit of scrapbooking, junk journaling. And I love following that of your content. But yeah, you could totally launch something like that even on Substack in a sense, right?
You need to make stickers of your mosaic tiles that you painted. Those are so beautiful.
Yeah, I have so many ideas about stickers.
I love stickers too.
Yes, everyone does.
Yeah, everyone does. Like back in the day, do you guys like, exchange stickers in school?
Yes. And I have a sticker book.
You still have them?
Yes. I even have stickers now. When I went to Japan, I'm like, give me all the stickers because they're so beautiful and they're so thin. It's just so special and it just makes me happy. I don't care if other people see it, but when I open my journal and I see that cute little sticker, I'm like, yes. And then it just inspires me to like write in it and
to make it all pretty and
yes.
Well, thank you for that. So I'm definitely gonna do that.
Yes. Sarah, I think you brought a really great point about how would you leverage Substack and adding that paid component to it, because it's really basically, you guys, it's a free platform. You don't have to pay them anything. The only how they make money is if you attach a product or attach a paid level to it. That's where they take a little bit out of it.
Transaction
But
fee.
it's not that much. Yeah, transaction fee. But it's not that much more than if you had to pay for a platform to pay. Because if you think about Etsy, you're pretty much giving them 35 to 40% of your sales through shipping, through the platform, through the transaction fee.
The listing.
Yeah, all that stuff. With this, it's a low barrier entryway. And if you want to attach a little kit to go with your tutorial that you have it gated and paid, that's another way to do it. If you want to test it out, instead of paying for Teachable, to pay for Thinkable, Kajabi, because it's really, the payment for that is very high. If you're unsure, Substack is such an easy, free way to do it. The only thing you have to invest is your time to get it set up and to be done. So something to think about, you guys. And one thing I'm always pushing, if you don't have a newsletter yet, use Substack as your newsletter because it does get sent out to your followers in that way. And the really cool thing, it doesn't go into your junk folder or your spam folder. So that's something to really think about, because if you're struggling with your email going into junk folders, like no one sees what I'm writing. Substack is a very safe way for people to receive it, because not only do they send it out individually when you post your post, but they'll gather all the really good, like if a person's following, let's say Poi, Sarah, Jesse, myself, they'll get a whole email with all of our newsletter in it or Substack. So they'll see it all at one time on top of what you're sending into it individually. So which is a really cool way to get it.
I need to subscribe more to other people just to see what I get.
Yeah,
I did notice in the last 2 years that people who I was following, like I subscribed to their newsletter, started sending me Substack. And I was like, what is this? So I assume what they did was they uploaded their entire subscription, like mailing permission, I guess, onto their Substack mailing list. Not sure what the legitimacy is there. I don't know, to be honest, but people are doing that. So I started getting, that. And that was how I discovered Substack. But then I discovered you guys were doing it as well. And Quinn, you have a ton of posts. What was your angle in that? Like, why did you decide, okay, I'm going to do Substack now?
I was working on this one particular project called Back to the Basic for the past 2 years. It's something that I wanted to release as an online course, but as I was researching it and writing it, it kind of became a bigger animal than I had originally envisioned it. Because one thing I keep asking myself, why am I still making paper flowers? It's all about the basic of it. I think it's because all the different hobbies that I have, from the Cricut machine to the glues, to the scissors, to the painting, all those different mediums, it pulls it together where I'm constantly fascinated by how the crepe paper gets treated. And I was just falling in love with it over and over again in many different angles. I was like, oh, I know a lot of my students are really curious about how does gouache affect it? How does watercolor affect it? How does pan pastels? How does hard pastels, soft pastels? And I wanted to go like in a more thoughtful way. And I was like, of all the different platforms, like Instagram is too short. You can't give out that information. And I feel like blogs was a blog, but I felt like Substack was such, you can integrate videos, you can integrate images, and it was already built with SEO in it. It was already built with this amazing platform. And the biggest thing, it was free. I was like, it wouldn't hurt for me to try it and see what happened. And it's been really a slow pace because it's also on me on how much do I invest my time? Because not only am I on Instagram and YouTube and Pinterest and all these other, like another workload, but I had to like switch my mindset on how did I want to invest my time? How can I make it different for people? Because it is a different audience. Because this audience on Substack is more about reading. So, but that's also me too. I love to read. I love to research and I love to find out more information. And that's the audience that I wanted to approach and to encourage them to follow me. Because I know there's a lot of paper artists out there. There are so many different types. And I find that so interesting. And I really want to go more in that pathway because I'm like still rediscovering what it means to be a paper artist, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true. And I think like, you know, to your point, like a lot of people are actually interested in your process than just the quick 1 minute video, like, quick cut. And I'm just like tired of like not doing it quick enough. Like that's not how my mind think. I just want to be like, I tested this out. This is the effect it looks like. And this is what I think. And, we're all has been like, when we're in the zone, there's so many thoughts like running through our minds, right? But I don't want that to neglect that. And I want like, that all the thoughts are coming and like, how we all make the flowers. It's like all comes with the process. And that's why our flowers are so different. And that's why we have our own style. And, and I think that's very important to like, just not like do a fun, quick thing,
Yeah. For sure. The reason why I was on Substack as well was because, yes, I enjoy reading things as well. Nowadays with big media, it's all changing, right? A lot of it's behind paywalls. You're often only seeing certain types of subscription publications as well. So it was really interesting seeing things pop onto my feed that actually interested me, and there's some really good writers out there, amazing writers that know so much and so many things and so in depth about what they're talking about, so many different topics that you can learn about in depth. And so when I did, start my Substack, my only thought was, okay, well, the only way I can deal with this is like write it like a journal. Essentially, my newsletter is like a journal to me. Like every month I write something and it's usually something really, something that I've been thinking about a lot. And because I'm doing this like new, like this show I'm preparing for, I was thinking, okay, well, maybe I can use it for the show in terms of writing out either my challenges or my thought process of as I'm planning out my show, as I'm planning out the pieces, like the whys, the whats. Yeah. But it's honestly, part of it is, like finding a cohesive thought on that, right? Yeah. Something cohesive that I feel like, well, it might mean something to someone else as opposed to me just being like, blah. But then, you know what, Poi, you're totally right. And just like, you just got to do it. Right? Like in your mind, it might be messy and it might come out messy, but that's the truth. And that is the process. That's the learning process about. Yeah. That is what writing is about, right? That's what journaling is about, is like having all these maybe incoherent thoughts written out, and then you find clarity from it. And hopefully someone will want, be able to connect with some of it, and then if not, then that's fine, because the purpose isn't necessarily to, have, to get like 1,000 followers, 10,000 followers. The point is to connect, hopefully be able to connect with people. And hopefully in doing that, also find a little bit about yourself, right? Understanding yourself a little bit better.
For sure. Like, I think, to your point, like, obviously, at the end of the day, I do want to get more subscribers and I do want to get people to get my sticker sheets in the future. But I think, start something like, right? Like, you figure out the platform, you figured out your flow. So I think it's important also to figure out your flow. You just have to do the work, right? Yeah. And that maybe for me personally, right now, yes, I said that I don't care about the subscribers right now because I want to see how long would it take for me to write something, and also figure out the whole now you can customize your dashboard. Now I forgot that I have to cover photo. I have to be more organized about all the photos that I have. So one step at a time, right? But for me, I know that, okay, my photos, again, not perfect, but at least I'm going to hit that publish button. And then if I want to change something, then I have all these articles that I've written before. Maybe 2 people read it, and maybe I'll do another version later. So, I think, with that, I think not to get the whole idea of where do I write about? Is people going to read about it? Maybe this is a time that you focus on you, that this is this is a topic that you enjoy talking. This is something that you talk to your friends or sisters or whoever all the time, and you just want to let it out. And this is maybe that's where you start. And then you can always come back to I don't enjoy talking about this anymore. And I want to use this time to do blah, 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 and you have the substance or something to go back to, the same thing as going back to your journal of this week, I've been so down, and, you flip the page and be I'm going to do this so that I don't go back to what I did before, you learn about yourself.
Yeah. I just watched BTS documentary, and actually it just weirdly tied in with what Poi was saying. And they were, I think one of the questions was why do you think BTS went so global from all the different artists out there? There's American artists, there's plenty of Korean artists as well. But why was it BTS? And they mentioned that it was just maybe because they were just the most genuine, and they used to run this show where it was just them. You're hanging out with them, it's vlogging, and they were kind of the beginning of that. They started that as a K-pop artist that would vlog and take you around and literally be themselves, and they're very goofy and silly. And so they mentioned in the documentary is just your genuine version of you is what wins people's heart. And they kind of argue a little bit with the producers and the people that are their agency, saying no, but for a marketing standpoint, we want to sell this and that. We want more English speaking songs. And they're actually but that's not us. We're actually more Korean. So we want more Korean songs. But anyways, all that to say, I was loving the documentary. But I really think at the end, what wins people's hearts is yourself, right? Whatever you can be the most real and not overthinking. Ultimately, sometimes I'm is this going to make money? Is this going to be popular? Am I going to get the most views? Am I going to go viral, right? Aren't we always thinking about that? But at the end, sometimes the most viral video, it was just the most raw video that I did put zero effort, but it was just in the moment I thought it was cool and I filmed it. right?
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's what it comes down to. So I feel like Poi, like your Substack will definitely be like your genuine self that people will read and be like, yes, yeah.
Thank you so much, Poi. This was such a great conversations on what you're doing with your motherhood and how you're transitioning and growing your business. And we can't wait to see all the different projects. But to end our particular episode, we would love to know, what have you purchased lately that has made you happy?
Ooh, what do we think? That's a good question. Well, to go on with the theme of the content that I have on my Substack, I just recently bought Karen Dash. I think I pronounced their name correctly. The brand is Neo Pastel. It's the wax paint, a soluble wax. I just forgot like the actual name, but it's like crayons, but it's like a wax that's soluble, that water soluble, so you can turn that into watercolor. Super satisfying.
Yeah.
Super satisfying.
Oh,
so
that is.
now you just give me an idea to like do a quick video and like how it's water soluble, so I can actually show that to you.
Yes.
But yeah,
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it's been like, one of the things that I'm like, oh my God, it's so expensive. It's like $3 per like one of the tiny thing. And I got the whole box. I'm like, you know what? I want the whole box. Like, and I got it. And I'm like,
good for you.
All colors. Yeah. But yeah. I'll send you.
Yes, please do. I can't wait to see it and buy a whole box.
Yeah.
How about you, Sarah? What have you purchased lately that has brought joy in your life?
Talking about journaling, I weirdly got into journaling because I just went to a junk journal like event. And, it's been such a trend and the whole snail mail, like with all of that, I have been wanting to do a little bit more of journaling. So actually my favorite purchase recently was buying a new journal. I bought like a really nice, actually it was more than $20. So I don't know if it's a $20 limit favorite purchase, but my journal was like almost $50 because it was like the rifle paper one where it's like embroidered in the front, and the sketchbook, like the actual paper is like kind of thick, so I could paint, I could add watercolor on it.
Yeah.
It doesn't like warp the paper as much. I don't think it's like the highest quality watercolor paper, but it's thicker than a typical notebook. So I'll try to get that link for you guys. It's really cute just because it has flower embroidered in the front.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, send that to us.
Yeah. What about you, Jessie?
I'm trying to like this. I got these. They're kind of like journals, but they're not. Oh gosh, I forgot what they're called. I'll put in the link in the show notes. But essentially, it's a Canadian company that creates these large ringed like binder / albums where inside there are like. They are slotted, so you can put photos in or you can put work in, and each page is left blank, but the intention is that your child can keep all of their work and what they've done the whole year in this book. And so you would put you can either do it by month or you can do it by year. So you could do it I've been doing it by school year because every month is just like too much. So school year, like, their kindergarten, the grade 1, and you can like post or you can, glue on or somehow adhere like photos of their class and their photos. And then they can put down like, what their favorite sport was, who their teacher was. But it's like such a good compact way of keeping everything that they've done that school year in a little binder. It's not even little, it's huge. It's a huge binder, but it's a really good way because like every year you get like so much of their schoolwork, and there's, art pieces, there's photographs, there's invitations, there's like tickets, there's all these things. And you're like, where do I put them in a way that like looks pretty? And so, it's like this photo album thing. And I forgot what it's called. I got one for each kid. We're still kind of compiling last year's stuff, but I just thought it was like a genius way of keeping everything like neat and nice and pretty so that looking back, they'll still have really good memories. But I'll look that up and put that in. But Quinn, what about you?
So sad news, Butter actually has cancer. And so we've been trying to kind of make her life a little bit more enjoyable. And she loves squeaky toys. So on Amazon, you can buy a whole packet, like 20 squeaky toys. And she loves to kill the squeakers. But they have a squeaker that doesn't die. And so I'll like take that squeaker and then put it in her stuffies. So that way if she'll have that same toy, because she loves her flamingo. So every year what we do is we actually have the same pink flamingo for her birthday that we replace every year. It's been indestructible, but she always killed the squeakers. And so I've been able to just buy the squeakers and stuff it back in and sew it for her. And she just loves it.
Sorry to hear it, Quinn. I hope she feels better. Yeah.
I hope so too. We're looking at surgery. Luckily, it hasn't spread yet. It's on her liver. And so we're trying to figure out, and poor girl, she's having so much problem right now. She has like a GI problem, and then she has some lesions on her kidney. And there's also, on top of it, she has another UTI. So she has so many different problems right now that we just have to deal with. But yeah.
But I hope, she feels better. Yeah.
Yeah. I hope so too. All right. Thank you so much, Poi, for being with us and for sharing your motherhood with us and all the amazing things that you're doing.
Yeah. So much for having me. You say bye-bye? You say bye-bye? Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye, everybody. Bye. Hey, สวัสดีค่ะ